Hello and welcome to episode 28 of my series as I build my way through the battle games in Middle-earth magazines. Now this is the fourth and final part of the castle build, and this month we're going to be building the corner tower, so the final part of the main build, which is pretty cool. I've really enjoyed this. The techniques we're going to be using are going to be very similar to what you've seen in the previous three videos, so I will gloss over some of those, and if you're interested then do feel free to go back in the playlist and check out the earlier three videos. They've all been really good fun for me, and they've got a good reaction as well, good reception as well, so hopefully you'll enjoy them also if you haven't yet watched them. But otherwise I will also be doing at least one extra build, which will be finishing off the towers on either side of the gatehouse, which I made from Prop Fox Tyler, so just going to finish that off as well. However, I do have another thing I need to finish, which I might hang off this video, but I'm not sure. We'll see. You'll find out by the end of it. Anyway, that's enough rambling. Let's have a look and see what the magazine says and then get to the build. So the fortress tower. Often the cornerstone of a fortress's defence will be a mighty tower. This forms a bastion of imposing stone that can defy all but the strongest war machines. In this modelling workshop we will show you how to build one of these large fortifications. So what this is basically is going to be building multiple layers, slices through the levels through the tower, and there are different types. So you've got a standard tower level. Then you've got a castle corner level, a top level and a bottom level. So there's going to be a few levels I'll be building, and obviously, as you know, I'm not going to cut corners here. I'll do at least one of each, if not more. The idea is that you'll be able to lift these off, and they'll be very playable. Now, in a previous video, I had someone ask me about the arrow slits, and yes, as I thought, in this video we do arrow slits. So you didn't have arrow slits on the curtain wall, but you certainly do on this tower. And maybe you should have done, to be honest, on the other towers, but anyway, that's by the by. So what we're going to do is have a look and see what materials we need, and then let's get stuck in. So it says foam card, craft knife and steel ruler, PVA glue, polystyrene ceiling tile, the most eye-opening of materials for me in all of this, the hot wire cutter, balsa wood, clippers, styrene, thin card, felt tip pen, texture paint, which I use just normal paint, normal terrain paint. You can link in the description below to how to make that, and then sand, and then an unused base and scissors. So I'm going to get that together. We're going to start making these levels. I will be back in one very short while for you, in probably a bit longer for me, and we're going to get stuck into the tower level. So step one, and as you can see I've got a little bit ahead, which is good. I've done a bit of preparation. So this is about making the walls and the floor of each of the levels, and it's quite repetitive, which is why I've got ahead, so I can show you the different stages. I've done some prep, and that does also include the castle corner level and also the bottom levels. So so I might do more than I've done here, but at the moment this is all I'm going to do. So what we've got here is we've got some 8cm by 15cm 5mm thick foam card, and I've used my Proxon, which is superb for this, to slice these out all exactly the same dimensions, as you can see, all very close together, and that's going to be the walls. What we have here is some 15cm by 15cm squares, which are going to be the bases. Now the interesting thing with that is that you actually want them to be 15cm by 15cm, but two sides need to be reduced by the width of the walls. So that means cut half a centimetre, 5mm off each. And on this one I have done just that. So if I offer up this wall, you can see that it overlaps. And that means that when I offer up that wall, it overlaps again. And that means that I'm going to be able to wrap these all the way around and have the floor completely enclosed and have it be a perfect square. I have already on these ones as well applied the wire brush. When you've got smooth material like this, shiny material, you need to rough it up with a rubber brush or with a wire brush, or it will not take glue or anything. And the last thing to point out is this. So this is how we're going to assemble the level. So the way to assemble the level is you take you get some small slips of the foam card, 4 short straight slips, and glue them into the center of each side of the base. And what this will do then is when you're gluing your walls on, you turn this upside down so that it's sitting on top of those little sections, and then glue these on so they're flush. And that means that further on down the line, when you're going to have some dowels sticking out from each level, that's going to mean that they're going to sit on, it's going to stop it from sliding. So it's a way of basically tiling the levels together. So the final thing to say is the wall base. The wall base is made in exactly the same way, except that you want to have your walls the same height as your existing walls that we made in the first magazine, the first of this series, and you can see there that those are going to be the right height. These are 10 centimeters for me, but whatever you've been doing, you need to cut your walls that high. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue these onto the base here using normal PVA, and then I'm going to come along and I'm going to glue the sides on using PVA and also using my dressmaker's pins to act as a bit of stability and to give it a little more integrity. And I'll just do that off camera because this is all the same sort of things we've seen before. And what I'll do is I'm going to do all the levels, including the freestanding level. I might cut another one because I might end up wanting to do a freestanding base as opposed to just a corner base. To show what that looks like might be quite cool. So yeah, I'll get all these bases, all these levels, assembled, and then I'll bring you back for the next step when they're all done. As you can see, I have a pile of sections. These two I've just done. I've got one here which is going to be the wall level, and I've got 3 here which are going to be normal ones. So one of these is going to be a standalone level which will have a door in the middle, and one of these is going to be the doors that allow you to go, so the corner section which will be at the same level as the walls, so I'll have a door here and a door here, and the walls will kind of like butt in here and here. So those two are going to be done slightly differently, which I'll show you how I'm going to do those, how I'm going to do the door, but the others are just very, very basic. So I'm going to show you one and then I'll get the rest done. So what I've got here is the roof tiles, and I've cut them out to the correct height for the walls. This is, as it happens, this is the bottom one, so it's 10 centimeters. The rest will be at 8 centimeters for these 3. And what it suggests that you do, and it's quite a nice little simple idea, is you glue one side on, and you glue the next side on, and you glue the third side on, and then when that's all dry, you trim the edges, and actually you can glue them all on. You trim the overhang, and then that way you get a really, really nice clean surround without any kind of like missed sections. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue these on. I've just noticed one of my pins is a little bit off here, which is a bit of a pain, so I'm going to have to deal with that because it's actually on the inside. So I'll just resolve that and then I'll bring you back for the actual gluing. So there you are. Yeah, the drawing pin had gone right the way through and not in a good way, so that's what we don't want. So normal PVA painted on. This is why we did the wire brush on all of these wall sections, so that the glue would actually stick. If you hadn't done that wire brushing, and if you haven't, and you've got shiny PVA like I have, or shiny XPS like I have, then you will now be in trouble because it will not stick. So we'll glue that on there, and what we'll do is we'll just hold it in place with a couple of clamps. And what I'll do is I'll go around each of the walls like so, and glue each of the walls on like this, and then when that's all dry, I'll come and I'll cut the excess off, and we'll have a really nicely clad wall section. So I'll get that done on this and all the other sections, and I'll bring you back when I come to do the ones where the doors are going to go in, and show you how I'm going to work out that. Lots and lots of repeated steps again on this build, so lots of stuff going on when the camera's not rolling. But still, I'm really enjoying it. I might use some pins just to hold that bottom piece in place, or I might get clamps across. I'm not sure. I'll show you what it looks like when it is all finished. So the other levels are all pretty much ready and done with their cladding on. So now what we're going to look at are the two slightly different ones. Now I've actually done this a little bit differently as well. I've pre-cut these lengths correctly so they have the overlap, and the reason for that is that I want to be able to get these positioned, the doors positioned exactly where I want to without having to kind of guess. So I just did a bit of measuring, made a few mistakes, but with the Proxen I was able to cut all actually 9 lengths exactly right. So what we've got anyway is we've got 2 levels, and they're going to be 2 different types of level. This one is going to be the entrance level. So for example, it could be at ground level, or you could put it on top of another one which doesn't have a door and have steps up to it, which I'll probably do as well. But that's what this is. So what we're going to have is we've got a large door shape which I'm going to cut out of the surround, of the cladding even. And then when I glue that on, what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to put this, paint this to look like wood, draw some lines on it, and then glue that in place as well, and it will look like a doorway. Now we could potentially make it an opening doorway. I'm not planning on doing that at this stage, but I might do, see how time goes. The other one is very, very similar. However, what this one is the one that sits on the battlements. So it will be sitting with a wall coming along here and a wall coming along here, and then there'll be a door on the corner like this, and it'll be made in pretty much exactly the same way as this one. So I'll cut a hole out of 2 of these surrounds, which is why I did the pre-cutting mainly, and then they will be able to be glued in place with a little bit of a gap where the door is. So yes, that's what I'm going to do. I will probably not record very much of it because it's pretty obvious, but what we're basically going to do is find the middle, and I know that this is 16, so I'm going to have this sat at 8. That's the middle of the wall. Draw around it and cut it out, and then glue it in place as I've done the others, just using PVA and clamps. All the other walls will be exactly the same as the other levels. This one just has that doorway cut out, and over here these have a doorway cut out at the corners. So make sure I do it right. This one needs to be there. Just remember I've reversed that. So yeah, so it's a pretty simple process. I'll get this done, and then when all of this is finished, we'll come to the next step. I'll show you what that looks like when they're all glued together. So we've got these 4 done, and I've got the other 2 which have the doorways. They're still clamped and drying, so I'll do them after I've done these, hopefully tomorrow. And the next step is step 4, which is interior detail. So every level will have posts in each corner, a staircase and a trapdoor. The corner posts are important as they are used to make the levels stack together. To make the corner post, glue a length of square balsa wood, which I've got here, into the corner so that it sticks out over the top. The rod needs to extend past the top of the wall by the thickness of your foam card. So I've got a little bit of foam card here. So what I can do is I can put that into the wall, put the foam card there, and then draw a line on it, and then that'll tell me where to cut it. And the reason why you do that is because of these little kind of indents that we put in under here. That will now, when that's there, that will sit on there really nicely and will stop it from moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along, I'm going to cut out 4 lengths per level, because everyone's going to need it. So I'm going to need to have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 lengths. So hopefully I've got enough for this balsa. And then glue them all in place. And probably what I'm going to then do is work on the outer detail before I start on the stairways, because that's going to be the arrow slits. So I'm going to get this done, get these stuck in, and then I'll bring you along for the outer detail, and then I'm going to start thinking, I think, about the advanced build. So, the advanced build. I've just been scratching my head a bit and looking at it, and I think I've worked out what I'm going to do, which is nice because, yeah, I really wasn't sure at all. So what I've got is I've got an A4 sheet of the MDF here, and I've got the same thickness of floor as I used to do the bottom of the of this base. So that's going to be the bottom of the tower, and the tower is not going to go to the end of there. I'm going to do a little bit of the same kind of scrubby kind of what have you. I'm not sure whether I'm going to push it back and have the tower. I do want the tower overlapping slightly so that you have some crossfire across onto there, but it is going to be taller, so I'm not totally sure about that at the moment, and I might still even not use the A4 and use the A3, but the actual idea I'm going to go with is going to be the same. So I'm going to put this down onto the MDF at the bottom, and I'm going to use the 1 centimetre thick blue foam to start to build the walls up. So that will basically glue on the outside of this white foam there, leaving a little gap, which is why I'm at this angle here, you can see there, which is going to be the thickness of the cladding, the roof tiles, to do the texture. And that's going to go up above the floor, and it will be cut off, and there'll be a gallery, and then there'll be another level. So I'm going to do 2 levels at least, and then the roof, and I want it to be playable. So there'll be kind of a gallery here, a shooting gallery with so that troops can stand up here and shoot down should anyone get past the actual portcullis. And I'll do exactly oppositely. I'll do exactly the same. So yeah, so I'll do 2 identical towers. I'll probably only bring you along for building, show you one of them, and the other one I'll just do in the background. So yeah, so I'm still going to work on the actual dimensions, but I think that the structure, I know what I'm doing. Also, I do realise that I've got this backwards, so actually, if I wanted it to overhang, it would be flush there and overhang in here, but that just means maybe that it reduces this ditch a little bit. So I'm not sure. I'm gonna play around a little bit longer in my head. I may stick with the idea of the A5 shape like that, so keep it the same width, and I might even do it like that so it's slightly wider, and build up the base a bit more and have a slightly deeper tower, but I'm not sure about that at the moment. But that's my idea for the actual construction technique. So once I've worked out the dimensions and worked out what the base is going to be, I'll do that, and I'll bring you along and show you how I'm going to go about it. But it's going to be using basically the same technique, so it won't be very much filming to show on that. It will just be, yeah, this is what I've done, and then hopefully it's going to look really good and finish off this piece, which is already looking great. Alright, so next thing to do on this build is the outer detail. So corner bricks, yeah, I might do those, I might not. I've really fallen out of love with doing those, but I probably should do. They basically are done in the same way as the previous ones. So they would wrap around the edges with one long, one short, one long, one short. I probably should do it, but yeah. Excuse me. The other thing is arrow slits, which what I'm about to do now. So the way that they suggest that you do arrow slits, and I might have to like redo these off camera for if that goes badly wrong because my sketching is terrible, but it's basically a shape which is something, so you have like a double kind of cross shape like this, and what they suggest that you do, which I should probably do not on camera, but hey, whatever, is do a template so you can draw around it and then replicate it. Because what you're going to need to do, and you can't actually see that at all, can you? So zoom in on that, that's the shape I've drawn. And what you're going to need to have is, for each of the normal levels, which is the 3 that I've done, you're going to need 1 on each, or at least 1, if not 2, I think. So I'm going to need to do either 3 or 6 of these shapes. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to use that one because that's rubbish. I'm going to get a ruler and sketch it out properly on some graph paper, cut out a template, and then put that onto this, which is actually a Weetabix box. Cut those out, and then I'll bring you along for the next step, which is gluing them on. So yeah, so we're gonna get that done, but I am gonna do a proper template. That's just rubbish, isn't it? That. So I have finally managed to cut out all the pieces for these arrow slits, and yeah, I mean that was a bit of a pain. It's very fiddly. So what I've ended up with is 6 arrow slits, because I'll do 3 on each, or 2 on each of the 3 normal levels. And that means that you need to have 24 of these ones, which go here on the little out bits, and you need to have 12 of the long thin ones for the top and the bottom, and then 12 tiny ones to go in the middle, and they get arranged as you can see there, and then this will go on here underneath. And you end up, I mean, it's a really cool idea. It's a very nice little design. It's just really fiddly and annoying because there's lots and lots of parts to it. But what I'm going to do now is glue that all together. I think I'm going to end up using contact spray adhesive, which means I won't do it on camera. I'll go sit outside and do it very quickly and what have you, mainly because it doesn't cause any warping, and these are quite fine pieces, and they would very easily warp. So what I'll do is I'll spray one of these and then place each of the elements on, then spray the next one and place each of the elements on. I'm not a big fan of spraying anything aerosol, but I think in this case this is the right thing to do. So I'll do that and then get them glued on the sides of the walls, and then we're actually not far off done on this, which is good because it is now Friday. And technically I need to publish this video on next Tuesday, so it might be that I missed that. It's been a very incredibly busy period of my life, and getting even time to cut these out has proven to be very difficult. It's taken me more than a week since the last clip just to get what you see here done, and that's life. So you just carry on and rock on and roll, don't you? So anyway, let's see if we can manage to get this published in time. If not, then it'll be a week late, but that's fine. At least it won't be nothing. And also, I'm not going to be doing the additional build at all. I haven't had time to do it. I've barely had time to do this, so that's just going to have to wait, and I'll maybe do that as a separate video, because I really do want to finish off the entrance, which I've started there, but it's just not going to happen in this video. So there we are. So I just realised that there's actually a bit that I've missed, which is the roof, the top level. So I have actually made it, but I just tied in the desk and found it, and I realised I need to do that. So what this is going to involve is it's going to involve shallower walls. So basically they're going to be about 5 centimetres high at the highest point, with about 2.5 centimetre crenellations cut into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of some of my scrap pieces of the same black foam that I've used for the base, and I'm going to, so you can see we've got one here that's just basically almost exactly the perfect height. And what I'll do is will scrape it with my wire brush, as I have on the others, and then glue it around the sides. And then what will happen after that is I will put the textured stuff on the outside as well. So I also have some scrap of that lying here. So making sure that you've got the top on it, so I'm going to have to cut some more. The scrap's not going to be good enough, but that will basically be glued there, and then have the have the textured stuff glued down on the outside, and then I'll cut the crenellations into it. So I'll get that done and show what it looks like when it's finished, because then it will just be ready for having cardboard squares glued on the top and then being painted like the rest of the build. And you can see at the back that the roof is drying, and what I've got now is I'm going to start to paint these sections. So I've put these, this is what the arrow slits look like. Just use the adhesive spray, like I said, which I don't normally like doing, but I am in a dramatic rush in the hope that I'll get this done in time. And what I'm going to do now is start to do the black paint and sand. So I've got my black paint, which is house paint mixed with PVA, water and some washing up liquid or dish soap if you're American. And what I do is I paint this on over the top like so. So I'll paint that over the top and then get my sand and sprinkle it on. And I'll do that on all the sections that I've done, including the roof section when that's got its crenellations cut into it. But basically you're going to end up with something a little like that. Now it looks like I need to sift some more sand as well at some point very soon. That doesn't take very long, so I'm running a bit low. But that's what we're going to do. We're just going to put that over all of it, and you can see there that the crenellation might need to be kind of like cleaned up a little bit, but just a little rub of the finger will take the sand off that and give that a little bit more definition. And then when we're done, we'll come along and we will dry brush it. So I'm going to do that on all of them. I should be able to do 2 halves, but 2 sides before I have to let it to dry. So yeah, and then I might have to come back later when this is dry and do the other 2 halves just because there's nowhere to hold it. But yeah, shouldn't take me too long to get this done. So I have cut out the crenellations using that funky tool, and I've just made an executive decision that I'm not going to do the squares of cardboard couple of reasons. One, I really don't like the process, and two, I wanted to try something a little bit different. So what I've got is I've got this counterpoint here, which is used for like beginning a hole or whatever, and I'm just going to draw it along and actually score in like that the squares that are going to go on the top of this. So I'm going to get that done. It's going to push quite hard because then on top of that obviously I'm going to put the sand and the paint mix, but I think that's going to work fine. So we'll have a look and see what it looks like when it's done, and I'll show you. But we're getting right to the end of this now. Once I've scored this in, I'm going to do the paint and the sand. As you can see, the rest of the build is there drying, so that's coming on as well. So yeah, cracking on fast, and there's even a chance this might get done just about in time, and that'll be really good. So the way that it describes to make the doors is to use cardboard strips and what have you, but I've decided I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm going to make use of balsa wood and just do that. It's going to be slightly easier for me, I think, and I am trying to get more confident with balsa wood, so that's also a good reason. It's just practice for me. Now of course you can follow the instructions, which would be to stick strips of cardboard to these blanks and then cut them out, and then you get the uprights. I mean, it's a nice idea, and I might use it at another time, but for now I just want to use balsa. So I've got this offcut, and I've got this new sheet, so I'm going to basically mark out the shapes of the doors, glue them in place, and then stain them with the brown. And then that will be the doorways done. So yeah, there we are. So that's the next step that I'm doing right now. So when that's finished, I'll show you what it looks like. It's basically the same technique as I've used in other parts of this build, and I'll be using the burnt umber to stain the doors. So yeah, let's get this done. I've cut out some very basic stairs, stuck them inside each of these levels, and what I'm now going to do is put the same black paint with sand and then paint it black again and then dry brush it. As you can see, the outsides have been done, and then that probably is going to wrap it up. It's a bit of a abrupt end to this just because of how life is. I'm disappointed to have not done the second build, but I probably will do that next month because I will not have time to do the full build for Battle Games Middle-earth because of holidays and other things. So I'll probably filler in and do the advanced build for this just as a filler for next month, hopefully, and then be back to regular programming in September or October, whenever it is. The first, yes. So next month is August. So the video will be the beginning of September. So yes, anyway, enough rambling. I'll wrap this up. We'll get some pictures, and that's the build done. And here we have it, all of the levels that I've made, and these two are exchangeable, and obviously you don't need to have them all stacked up. So what I'll do now is I will show you how that will work. So what we've got here is the stairway that I made in the previous video. You can see that I probably need to do a bit more dry brushing on these. They're a little bit dark, but I can kind of rationalise that this is a different type of stone that the main tower has been made out of. And this is how you could do this as a standalone tower. So you'd have the climb up to the main door, and then each of these levels has the ladders in it going up, or the stairs going up to the top level. Now the second way is where this actually sits in to the main walls of the keep. So I'll swap this around and show you what that will look like. So here you can see the arrangement where this is going to be part of the keep, and I've actually just taken a couple of levels out because it is ridiculously tall. So yeah, you're able to go along the walls here, through into this door and then out of this door, so that you can continue around the walls, and then this big tower acts as a big bastion of defence on the main curtain walls, and that's probably how I'd use it most likely. What I might end up doing is making another top section, because it didn't take me very long to make that, and then what I'd have is actually two towers. The two towers. So you can see that I would then have one tower that can sit in with the walls, and then another one that can be a standalone, and I might build a level underneath that as well, so that I can have that stepped up. But for now, I'm very, very pleased with how that's turned out, even considering just how stressful this month has been and how little time I've had. It's great to see it, and I think they look very good. These builds are brilliant. They're so simple, and they're so effective, and they look great on your tabletop, which is ultimately the point. So yeah, really highly recommend this. If you're looking at making a castle, I think the last 3 or 4 videos have really brought a lot of cool techniques that are really easy to reproduce and result in something that's playable and looks great. So I'm really pleased, and I really hope that you've enjoyed following this and that you've gained some ideas and inspiration as well, because that's why I do this. So there you are, that's that video done. Slightly truncated, but necessarily so. I really haven't had the time to put into 2 builds on this month. But because it's August now, I've got holidays, real holidays. I'm actually going away, which I'm really looking forward to. And that would have basically taken August out as well, because I'm just too busy, and with a week away on holiday, not a chance I'd be able to do a full build. So what I'm going to plan to do and attempt to do for a month today, so the first Tuesday in September, what I'll aim for is the extra build that I've started in this video. So the 2 towers that are going to go on the sides of the gatehouse done by Tyler from Prop Fox, which is absolutely awesome. And I also would like to try to put together the whole thing onto the table and do a little bit of a show and tell, walk around it, have a look and see what it looks like when it's all put together. So I think that'd be really cool. So I'll look at next month as being kind of a wrapping up of this massive build series, and then the month after we're going to be going towards the Ents and towards Saruman, and I believe that it's going to be some gigantic dam is going to be made. So that will be being done in the month of September for the first Tuesday in October, so you won't want to miss that. So I will keep these coming. I will do a video first Tuesday in September. It just won't be another magazine, it'll be the continuation of this one. But please let me know in the comments below if you've enjoyed this. I love reading all the comments, and I do reply to them all, so yeah, don't be shy, do make yourself known. It'd be really cool to hear from you. And I'll wrap up by saying thank you so much for watching, particularly if you've made it this far, and please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.